Okay, so this is a brief video on how to do some dummy coding. So we're going to create some dummy variables. Again, these are binary variables coded 0 and 1. I'm going to create these dummy variables from a little assignment that I had set up for you. So I'm going to show you everything from soup to nuts, as they say, so you can get going. Okay, let's start here. So this is an assignment that I gave you earlier. Or this was actually practice we did in class. I said, what you need is you need to have your syntax file open. So I had a syntax file I created for this data set I have called my first data set. You all worked with this already for your SPSS assignment 1, so you should know this data set pretty well. You get to go through and do the descriptive statistics, so you got to see all the variables in there. So first I'm doing a demo. So I downloaded this syntax file. As you know, the syntax file is a file that you use to write syntax in. So this syntax file was designed to be a shell for what we're doing, where we're pasting our code. So I set it up with the get file command. This is the command that opens the data file from scratch. And then we have the save out file command. So these are like the bookends to the data. Everything goes inside here. Indeed, I have in this note, write the new syntax here. By the way, notes always start with an asterisk and they end with a period. And notice their color is gray. So those are indicated as notes. They don't do anything. They're just there as reminders. So I downloaded the data set. Now, this is going to be interesting because I see many people download the data set multiple times. And when you do that, what happens is that your data set will be given different names because you can't keep on downloading them and all have the same name without asking you to replace the old file with the new version, right? So what's done, I can't speak for all systems, but I know with Microsoft, you automatically are given a number in a serial fashion, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. So I open up this data file and it says it's called my first data set 5 in parentheses .sav. Well, I just want it to be called my first data set .sav. If you look at my syntax, the syntax actually says address / my first data set .sav. It doesn't say my first data set and have anything in parentheses there. So this name is different from the name of my data set. So I cannot use the data set, this data set with my syntax until I change the name. So what I'll do is just file, save as, and I have it located somewhere already. And I'm just going to save it as my first data set .sav to get rid of that 5. And save. So that settles that issue right now. So my first data set is now correct and matches what I have in my syntax. Everything has to match. Syntax is extremely sensitive. All right, so I need the address of my file. So where is it located? And hopefully by now you all know how to do this, but if you don't, you're going to work on it again. So I looked at where I left my data set. So it's actually on my PC at the desktop under these two files, right? So I go to the data set. You can see the old one there that I just replaced or renamed, I should say. So I right click here. Now, again, if you have an Apple, it's going to be different. But for me, I right click it with a PC and I go to properties. And under properties, I find the address. This is the address. Okay. Highlight the address, copy it. And I just replace the word address. And that's all I have to do. So that's the new address. Well, this is the address of my file that I'm opening. And I need to save my dummy file. I'm going to save it in the same folders, but with the name dummy. So this is all ready to go. I'll save that. And I'll test this. To test this, I can just highlight these two and run it. And what does it say? I get this, we get this command we see a lot. This file is ready in use. Well, who cares? That's not an error that I'm worried about. Only thing is sometimes you can change the names of them. So you just got to remember that. So here it is. Dummy.sav. There it is. Okay, perfect. So this is the same file. I didn't do anything. I didn't manipulate it in any way. So it has the same variables in it as my first data set, but now it's called dummy.sav. All right, so here in this lecture, I gave you code for creating a dummy variable. So let's copy this code into SPSS. So this is for quad 4-level BMI variable. So copy that. So this is all SPSS code, so I can copy it and paste it directly into SPSS, but that's what I wanted to do. See where it says write the new syntax here? So I'm just going to keep that note there and then paste my syntax there. Okay, so all the code is ready. Now, let's look at this code. Actually, I'm going to start by running a frequency distribution for the BMI variable. First, let me close this data set. I don't need it anymore. All right, my first one. I have the dummy one. It's fine. So let's see. Here's quad BMI. If I go under variable, this is variable view. And I click under values where the little 3 dots are. I can get the code sheet. Says 0 is low BMI, 1 is moderate BMI, 2 is higher BMI, and 3 is highest BMI. Okay. So I want to create a set of dummy variables. So dummy variables are binary variables coded 0 and 1, where 1 is the level of interest and 0 is the comparison group. So it says here that I wanted to code BMI, quad BMI, that's our variable. Remember, there's no spaces in SPSS variables. You have an underscore where there'd be a space, comparing the highest levels to the lowest level. So lowest level is, yes, it's low BMI, right? Low BMI. So we had low BMI at the lowest level, moderate BMI at the next highest level, higher BMI at the next highest level, and then highest BMI is the highest level of them all. And they're going from 0 to 3. So lowest BMI is 0, moderate BMI is 1, higher BMI is 2, and highest BMI is 3. So I want to compare everything to lowest BMI. When I have 4 groups, as I do here, right, with this 4-level BMI variable, I will create 3 dummy variables. If k is the number of levels in the original variable, k minus 1 is the maximum number of dummy variables I can create. I mean, I can create all kinds of combo dummy variables, but that's the maximum number I'll create, right? 3. So let's see what they are. I'm going to create one that's moderate BMI that compares moderate level BMI to the lowest. I'm going to create another variable called higher BMI that compares highest BMI to the lowest, and then I'll create another variable called highest BMI that compares the highest BMI level to the lowest BMI level. So I'm going to use the recode command for this. So the recode command here, the recode command will take the original variable, the 4-level variable, and recode it so that there are only 2 levels. As you can see from this, I start with 1 level and give it another value. Now, in this case, 0 is 0, but I'm doing this because I have to do all the levels if I'm creating this dummy variable. The values 2, 2, 3 are also going to be 0 because my interest is in moderate BMI, which was originally coded 1. So that's going to be my 1 level in the new variable. Remember, the new variable only has 2 levels, 1 and 0. So moderate, which was 1 before, will remain 1. Low, which was 0 before, will remain 0. 2 and 3, so I said 2 through 3, even though they're consecutive, I'll just do 2 through 3, those equal 0, right? So they're also being compared to this primary moderate group, okay? I do the same for higher BMI. Higher BMI was originally coded 2, so now it's going to get the level of 1. All other values will be converted to 0, regardless of what they are. Same with the highest level of BMI, which was originally 3, it'll become 1. All the other values, 0, 1, and 2, will become 0. All right? So I've created 3 new variables, moderate BMI, higher BMI, and highest BMI. They're both binary 0, 1 from the original variable quad BMI. Then I gave them labels. So for moderate BMI, I called it moderate versus lowest BMI. Higher BMI, higher versus lowest BMI. For highest BMI, it's highest versus lowest BMI. Okay, and then I gave the labels values. One for each variable was whatever level it's at. Like, for instance, for moderate BMI, 1 was moderate, 0 was else. For higher BMI, 1 was higher, 0 was else. For highest BMI, 1 was highest, 0 was else, not XA, else, right? And then finally, down here, I gave them the levels. Now, since now these three variables will be, so when I'm creating these variables, they'll be put in order, right? They'll be moderate, higher, and highest, right? That's the way they're going to be created. So they're going in order so I can expand, right? From moderate to highest and make all those three variables nominal. They're going to be the level for their nominal variables. All right, so that's what I did here. So I took this code, I entered it into SPSS here. And then now I run it. I can either want to run this code, I can either just highlight it all and press the green button, which is okay here. It's a small amount of code, or I can do what I showed a lot of students how to do. They put a red dot at whatever the next line is after the stuff I'm running. And then I'm going to run and hit run to end, and this will run to the red dot. And I don't get any negative coding here, so that everything should have worked out fine. So I have this new data set that includes my created variables, moderate BMI, higher BMI, and highest BMI. Now, just to make sure everything is okay, I went ahead and created some code for testing it. So these are my three variables: moderate BMI, higher BMI, and highest BMI. So I'm going to run this code. So I highlight this and just hit the green button. And it says there's 380 valid cases, there's 13 missing cases. And for each of the variables, I get the frequency, which is the sample size, or N if you like. So for moderate BMI, there was 95 individuals with moderate BMI. For higher BMI, there was 96, and then for highest BMI, there were 95, which makes sense. They're about 25% each around that, because this was divided in 4 parts. Okay, so those are the 3 dummy variables. Now, to make sure I didn't make any errors, what I also did was I made code for running cross-tabulation. In this case, there's 3 cross-tabulations done: one for moderate BMI by quad BMI, a second for higher BMI by quad BMI, and a third for highest BMI by quad BMI. I can put all 3 of those together here. I'll get 3 separate tables. And the way I'm checking this is I'm looking to make sure that my new variable aligns with its old value. So this moderate BMI captures all the individuals in the original variable that had moderate BMI. So those 95 folks are caught here, and then there's no moderate BMI folks in any of these other areas, these other levels. The same with higher BMI, and the same for highest BMI. So this checks out to make sure that I coded it correctly. All right. Now let's do one like the assignment that I gave you all. So I said, it's your turn. Dummy code the smoking variable, selecting did not smoke in the past 30 days as your comparison group. Okay. So since you did an assignment using this data set, you already know what smoking variable is, right? You already did this, so I shouldn't have to show you anything. But we're going to compare every level to the did not smoke in the past 30 days variable. And then we're going to generate frequency distribution. And then I said, in a Word document, insert screenshots of your code. I'm actually going to show you how to do everything here. So, I must really, really love you all. So I'm going to show you how to do everything, every little thing. But I'm not going to do all levels of it. I'm just going to do one level because, I got things to do, people to see, places to go. I got another class tonight, so I got other stuff to do. But all right, let's do it. So let's look at our variable. So you can go to this last data set's fine because it has all the same variables in it plus the additional 3 dummy variables. So here's smoking. go across 30-day smoking. That's the variable I want. See the code. And you also have a code sheet, but this can act as a code sheet too. So we're going to compare everybody to level 0, did not smoke in the past 30 days. The other levels are smoked in the past 30 days, smokes weekly, smokes daily, but less than or equal to 10 cigarettes. And then finally, smokes daily greater than 10 cigarettes. All right, so we know exactly what we want. All right, so let's go ahead and create this. We're going to use what we did previously, right? So here I'm going to start a new note. Smoking dummy code, period. So it gives me another note just to know where I stop. Right. All right. You know, sometimes these colors change, and see, I didn't do anything here. It's just changed. Kind of weird. All right, so let's go. So we're going to recode, and the variable smoking. Since that's one is already there, it should show up, and it shows up right away. All right, so we're going to compare. Let's create one for smokes 10 cigarettes or more per day. 10 cigarettes or more per day. All right, so Recode Smoking, and that was level 4, because remember, 0 was did not smoke in the past 30 days, 1 was smoked in the past 30 days, 2 smokes weekly, 3 is smokes but daily, but less than or equal to 10 cigarettes a day. The last level was smokes 10 or greater than 10 cigarettes a day. So we're going to create one for the 10. I'm going to call it 10 plus. We're going to recode smoking. So, oops. Well, this is an easy one because 0 through 2, oops, through 2, it's going to equal 0, right? Because you have 0, 1, 2. Oh, there's 4. So 0 through 3, right, will be 0. The last level is 4, right? And then 4, which is the highest level, smokes greater than 10 cigarettes a day, will be our 1 level. And we're going to recode this into new variable. Let's call this 10 plus. 10 plus. All right. Still not liking that I'm not seeing any color change here. You see if I can get that to change. All right, well, we'll see what happens. Why this is not, we'll see if it works or not, okay? But everything looks good there. All right, let's do variable labels and smoking. Let's call this smokes more than 10 cigarettes a day, more than 10 cigarettes per day, versus did not smoke, because this is again a dummy variable, and the value labels are for smoking. 0 is did not smoke. 1 is smoked greater than 10 cigarettes per day. Okay, and then finally the variable level. Smoking is nominal. It's nominal, it's binary, so that's that. All right. Well, now, even though these didn't light up, so I'm still wondering if there's a mistake somewhere. Maybe there is. I'll find out in a moment, huh? I don't see anything, but we'll find out, right? So let's run it. Let's see if it worked. So again, I have to put my cursor up here somewhere so it'll capture every piece of code until the little red dot. Okay, so let's run to the end, see what happens. If we have errors, it'll tell us. I didn't see any errors pop up. Usually, so when you get errors, you get them here in the code in the bottom. I don't see any errors. And here we are. Okay, well, I didn't get it. So my label didn't show up. So there might be something wrong there. So let me go, we're gonna do a little diagnosing together. Variable labels, Recode Smoking to 10 plus. Oh, there you go. I put the wrong thing in there. What? You didn't tell me? Oh, see, this is a good way to catch an error. I'm supposed to be putting 10 plus here. There you go. I was just testing you all. There you go. That's it. So I recoded smoking into 10 plus. So 10 plus is the one that's called smokes more than 10 cigarettes per day. But see, that's why again I went into the data set to make sure everything was right, and there was an error there. So we run this again. So I stuck my cursor up top, run to the end. All right, let me take a look at the data set again. There you go. Okay, 10 plus smokes more than 10. Everything is good now. Perfect. All right, so let's double check to make sure everything's okay. So I'm going to analyze, do a descriptive statistics. Now, notice how this time I'm using the drop down. This is a small data set, so it's really easy for me to do that. I'm going to run a cross-tabulation like I did with the code. And I'm going to take a look at that variable. You see also why I like to run code, because you start looking for these variables in this massive variable names. Sometimes it gets pretty hard to find it. So here's the variable 10 plus. I'll stick that as a column, and then I'll take my original variable smoking and have it in the rows. I just want to see if I match up. There you go, smokes 10 greater than 10 cigarettes per day, and it's right here. And there's only 10 in this new binary variable, right? The 10 plus variable. So everything matches up, zeros elsewhere. So I did a good job. So this is how we write dummy code. So if I was finishing this task, what I would do now is write out the remaining 3 sets of code. So this is just coding the highest level versus the lowest, but there's other levels that I would want, the other 3 levels, right? Of the other 3 dummy variables, I should say, because remember with 4 levels, there's 4 minus 1, maximum of 3 of these dummy variables, comparing any level to, say, the lowest level. Again, you can compare to any level you want when you create dummy variables. Usually it's going to be something the lowest or the highest or the most frequent variable. Okay, all right, thank you very much. This was a pleasure. So now everybody knows what to do. Bye.